Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in today's free video I wanted to share some thoughts with you that I have going into the close today. So the time is currently 2:49 Central, so we've got 11 minutes until the cash close. When I was evaluating this end of day action, you see that you've got the vol QD, which is essentially the vol spread for the NASDAQ, that has established a beautiful trend on the day. And this is part of where I've always learned so much from John, and being able to look at this and say, okay, and that's why he enjoyed trading the end of the day so much, because you've just got a lot more information. So we can see where Monday's session began, and we can see that the NASDAQ has done nothing other than push higher as far as the positive volume has been concerned all day. Okay, you take an idea like that, and then you bring it back over into the index, where we're looking at this through the NASDAQ futures, and essentially just trying to take a few points of it into the end of the day. So I picked up one when I began the analysis, and then I'd like to show you a couple of things that hopefully you will find helpful as you start using this for yourself, primarily in ThinkOrSwim. Now, I'm sure there are various ways to do this in all of your platforms, but what I wanted to show you here, this is your default window. So let's take this from the 9 cells we have existing and just narrow it down to 3. Once we're here, you can see this primary spot in the NASDAQ is where I would like to focus. So I'm going to enable Active Trader, remove the dashboard once you're familiar with the tick values and all of that good stuff. And the other thing I wanted to show you is just a really quick way of giving yourself an edge by removing buy at market and sell at market, because market orders are going to do nothing but take advantage of you. So come in here to customize these. Let's remove buy at market, let's remove sell at market, and instead let's look at buying on the bid and then selling on the ask. If you do nothing else but these two small things, they will really help you be on the favorable side of the market, and they'll help quite a bit with your entries too. So if you've been sitting there doing this type of stuff at the market, switch over to these variables. Then I can drop this down, confirm to automatically send my orders, maximize this window to give a little bit more clarity in it. And now what I can do is, if I flip back over to my chart and say, okay, things are doing good, I'd like to see if we can, and we just made our new high. Well, I don't want to buy the market, but will I join the bid? Sure. I'll come in there and see if they'll fill me at that little bit more favorable price. This will not be as exciting, and there will be times that something like this will happen and go on without you, but just that little bit of extra time just allows you to get a better fill. You can see that I've picked up that second order now on the current bid, and now what we're looking to do is see if we can take this into the end of the day and sell it. Now, two things to look at here. One of which, and I should say two, there's going to be a wealth of things to look at. The most immediate to look at would be your most immediate swing high to swing low. And you can see how it's pausing at that 1272 extension. So if you're just scalping, you can look at doing that type of work. I usually try to make even my day trade future setups worth for a couple of points, just because you'll get better, you'll get a better run out of it. When I've cleared that 1272, and now also notice how you have this really clear confluence. It is the 1618 of this swing in confluence with the 1618 from the swing we have run previously, and that's going to give us a level there at 4904 to about 4904 half, give or take. So all I can do right now is kind of have that as a decent target. I'm also going to keep an eye on Apple here up into about 118 or so, and then just see if it can progress. The core parts of this trade, and I guess I should also show you this level here in the S&P, because I've covered it so many times in the chat room and it's carried a lot of importance for me. We finally were able to recover it during the Globex session from Sunday night into Monday morning, and that's exactly where we held here on the afternoon session, which in my mind was kind of a make or break level. So we hit and hold there. We have some great buying from the NASDAQ. Now let's flip over and get a couple of orders working to sell this. So 4905 is right there in the vicinity of what I'm looking for. Everything is progressing about like what we would like to see. You really just want to try and give this as much time to run into the end of the day as you can, while still acknowledging the concept of taking profits at extensions. So 4904 half is the high. Let's try and sell one of these at 49.0 half even. So we'll let that order work, and then I will scale up or trail up the stops on my remaining positions, and we can look to set that around break even. So let's give this just a few moments to see if we can get our target on that, and then we'll cover trailing up the last part of it. So this is the type of action we like to see here into the end of the day. You can see that the S&Ps are kind of following suit for what we'd like to see. 49.05 prints. That comes up and hits that first target that we wanted to look at. And that's handled what I would consider the core part of the trade. Now, I don't get aggressive with this stuff, but I do try to max it out anytime I have an opportunity. So I'd say, okay, the first bit of that did okay. What can you do with the remaining contract? I would come back and then at that point, try to look at it a little bit more technically. And I would also look at it from the point of view that where is my break even on this particular last contract? You can of course reference that from your entries and exits, or you can come over here into the active trader and just see where they're calculating that current break-even point from. So 49.0175 would be a fine place to do that. 49.0175 would also leave me pretty much in sync with this low right here. So it's just one more way to say, okay, if I wanted to set up a trailing stop against that, that would be a fine level to do it. What I will end up doing with this one is just see what it will be willing to give me over the course of the next 15 minutes, because remember, the futures markets will trade up into the 15 minutes past the 3 p.m. Central Standard Time close. You can trade a few ETFs the exact same way, but this is just a spot where I found to get the options you need to get the directional leverage you would have is a little bit tough. You know, taking a quick couple of futures into the end of the day is a bit more accommodating, and it's worth knowing those differences. So I'm going to continue walking through this with you as we kind of get here into the last 15 minutes post-cash session, and just showing you a couple ideas on how to manage this, because you know, I obviously was not able to unload all of it at the highs. I only had the one contract that I sold at 05. But now that you have this high, and you have an additional 9 minutes to see if we can actually get that to come through, in my mind, if you're able to get lucky enough to sell it again at those prices, then that is an excellent place to get out of your trade. And of course, selling these on the ask will always make that end of day P&L look a lot better than it will if you're sitting here just trying to work it, getting out at a scratch. So let's look at creating a closing order to sell this last contract at, let's just call it 49.07. So stepping in just a little bit in front of the highs for the day. And now what we can do by this is give it the additional 8 minutes to see if we can drift up there into the close. And remember that when you're trying to do stuff like this, you're doing it with much less liquidity than you typically would. So having your orders out there, going fishing for them is a big beneficial part of it. Let's see if it can play out for us here into the end of the day. So the futures markets are now closed. It is 3:16 p.m. Central Time, so you do in fact have that closed. You can see the time and sales have stopped. Obviously the bid and ask has stopped. You'll have this market reopen. The reopen that I always focus on is the one that comes in at 5 p.m. Central, and it's just another example of where I will be lenient with this position and essentially just try to place another order there to sell it at 49.07 half. I think that's a great way to try to take advantage of what will be an illiquid or less liquid market at that time. Still hopefully get a good fill, and as long as you keep your position size in check, this is just one more way to look for end of day setups. So I hope you found that helpful, a nice complement to your options analysis. If there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you at the next free video.